Alrighty, monthly trading recap for November of 2021. Gosh, one of my harder months on the P&L scale for what I was thinking mentally. Oh my gosh. But I'm just going to get into it here. For this video, we're going to try to keep it a lot more succinct, a lot shorter, because the reason why I do these videos, mainly these monthly recap videos, is to force myself into that situation to review, even though I may be thinking that I am reviewing and, I'm looking at the data. Yeah, I'm keeping up on all my stats and stuff. These monthly checkups obviously force me into that a lot more and say, okay, you're either checking the data or you're not. And, halfway through, or I ended up on 23rd, I think was kind of the inflection point for me on this month, but it just became, oh my gosh, okay, something different needs to happen. This review, this recap or change needs to happen now. So that's why this video is going to be a little bit shorter and not so much diving deep into any charts. I really didn't even have any highlighted trades. I wasn't keeping it up very well how I normally do with the journaling for the month of things I want to talk about in these types of videos, because it was just atrocious for how I was going about my trading, what the trades that I was taking. Something different definitely needed to take place. So this video is going to be more revolving around where I'm going, or where we're at right now after this change has happened, versus where we've been, because that change has already happened. And it's important to review from that and learn from that, and to say, okay, yes, it was very bad and atrocious. And we'll get into maybe just a little bit of that, of why I think it was so atrocious. Don't even have to think of atrocious. It was atrocious, looking from every factor there. But yeah, let's just get into it. Just a little overview of the SPY here for this month. We are starting into this winter months. I mentioned in a few of the daily trading recaps of, everybody was kind of waiting and excited, ready to go for getting later into November, start of December, get that hot winter stock market volatility action back. But it's just really not happened as of yet, especially as we're in first 3 trading days of December here. We haven't seen it. And it's tough to see. Even like the AMCs and the EXPRs, the memers, they're dumping a little bit more now too. So it's what we have to take. We can't fight it. We can't say that it's not there, because it is there. That would be denying the truth. But certainly that's just a great lesson again in everything, that you can't try to force your own opinion on a market, or the market never will 100% follow your expectations or your perspective on it. It is what it is, and that's the basic sentiment of it all. So continuing to learn from that and grow to understand that it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what tradition or history says, or what any guru, any idea represents. It's just going to do what it wants to do, and that's the market. So continuing to learn from that more and more in each and every single one of these trading days. We'll get into, it was like $500 that we were down on the P&L scale, but really half of that was from that last day on the 23rd, because of that broker issue, Wi-Fi issue, stupidity that was involved in that. So I don't hold myself so hard to it, because I'm glad I was able to go through that experience, that daily recap on the 23rd. Certainly broke that down a lot better, but hearing stories from other people similar to that of how they've gone through that, I'm glad that looking back on it now, certainly in the moment wasn't glad to be a part of it, but I'm glad looking back on it now in hindsight that, hey, we got one of those experiences under the belt, and I did not cave to it, didn't just completely crumble at the hint of that happening. And it turned out, I thought my mind was playing it a lot worse in my head. Just mentally, I was creating a bigger loss than was actually there. But held myself together, was still able to compile all the thoughts and emotions and what was happening in reality, and able to come out of that far stronger and more wise than I was going into that day. And that's all I can hope for. That's all I can try and practice and come to this screen every day looking for, is to fill that knowledge bank more and more every single day with more experiences like that. I certainly don't want to continue to just make it a bunch of losses time and time again, but keeping that Thomas Edison mentality of, I've found every single way how to lose money, and so now all that's left is the ways in which you can make money. So that's kind of the perspective I keep on a lot of the stupid little silly mistakes that I make at times. And we're just finding more, we're taking away more and more of the opportunities to lose money. There has got to be a finite number of ways. I may be totally wrong in that. There may be an infinite number of ways to lose money in the stock market, but should there be a finite number of ways, I'm pretty close. We're on the track to scouring out all of those different ways. So there's going to be none left, hopefully, eventually. Going over, don't even want to go over hard data because all of it, in regards to, win rate, of percentage-wise for losses, of setups, of different things I was looking at, it was all terrible. This was one of my worst months of the year, of pretty much of my trading career. Before I started going paper after the 23rd, my win rate before that point was 11%. I was not picking a lot of winners whatsoever, and that was me. I can't even put this on over trading because I was almost on pace for averaging like lesser trades this month than I normally do. It wasn't going to be far below. It wasn't going to be one of the lower traded months that I've had, but still, that's just, I can't put it on over trading whatsoever because I was still kind of holding myself accountable to that one trade per day type of thing because of sub PDT account, because of the cash account that I was trading with on the long side. And that is a big factor too that I don't think I lived in or dealt with really beforehand too. I got to experience it a little bit from Chris when seeing him go through that huge, I feel like he did it so much more than I did in my mind, but in reality, it was kind of the same thesis of, we're using these margin accounts with only those 3-day trades per 5 days, obviously. So subconsciously, how that keeps you down in regards to, okay, these day trades are now valuable. They start to have value, even beyond not even starting to deal with in the realm of, okay, how this money has value, the money that we're trading with. Now it's even more of a factor too of, okay, now the trade itself has value. So now you're adding it on top of, okay, am I going to be able to, do I want to use an actual day trade on this? And how much money am I willing to lose on it? And if it becomes a loser, not only did you lose that money that you lost in the trade itself, but you lost a day trade. You wasted a day trade. And now you're like, oh, now I got to wait another 5 days for this trade to come back. I've just wasted that. And you can look at it from the perspective of, oh, okay, well, I'm learning from it, but even in the sideline of just trying to make money, just trying to get a little scrap of the pie. And relating it back to Chris again in his situation of how he was almost forcing it more that he had to make money. And this is emasculating almost in that sense too. And I certainly felt that a little bit. I've not totally different situations that I was living in, but certainly great experiences to compare to one another and to learn from in everything. My baseball coach had a great quote of, I think he probably stole it from somewhere too, of paying the stupid tax. And you can pay that stupid tax yourself, like I'm doing a lot with all these trades. And I think it certainly helps me learn a lot better when I'm the one physically going through that experience. That helps it implement in my brain a lot more quicker that, okay, wow, I don't want to do that again, so I'm going to change my habits. Versus you can have somebody else pay that stupid tax. If somebody's already paid that tax before, you can learn from it, and that tax has already been paid, and you can just continue to grow on for the next one. That's learning, that's growth. But ultimately, it's got to get paid from somewhere. It's whether you want to pay it yourself or you can learn from somebody else who's done it before you, who's already paid it. And you can just ride that coattail and learn from it and grow. It's tough in that sense with a lot of things in the stock market because there's got to be some things that you have to learn yourself. You can't there is no educational program, no guru who will teach you enough or prepare you enough for dealing with your own emotions. If you are just an absolute stud and you're able to do that coming into trading from the start and from the get-go and completely have zero attachment to the idea of money or what it is, man, you're off to the races. You can go, but that's on the scale of non-human, right? Of everybody deals with emotion. Everybody's seeing the same charts here. And at some point it's going to sting and your human response is going to get involved. And it's about identifying that first off, saying it out loud that it's there, and then fighting against it and being able to grow from it and use logic without being attached to logic as well too. This is some freaking game, I tell you what. So off track a little bit. Let's get back on to what I was seeing of, I was mentioning every percentage point, every data point was so far below what I've been in the past. But the one good thing I can say is that my average percentage move on my winners was still bigger than my average percentage move I was taking on my losses. So good to see that, at least in some sense, even though it was an absolutely horrific win rate, and it wasn't by a large margin, my win rate bigger than my winners percentage moved bigger than my losers that I was taking, but at least it was just a little tiny bit. So saying, okay, at least I'm in some of the right direction to say that I'm not just cutting my winners short, or that I was falling into that little trap of, okay, as soon as I was in the money, I was just pushing that sell button and taking the money off. And then my losers, I was just letting draw down because I didn't want to take the loss. That wasn't happening whatsoever. So good to see that in that sense of that. I can say that for myself, to just pat the ego a little bit, to say, okay, I was letting the winners move as they should, or trying to get close to what I wanted to see, and cutting losses quickly within there and keeping some amount of risk level. So now, on top of that, I think it's just going to become, obviously, improving that win rate so we can find some amount of risk reward level that actually comes to help and put us profitable. And then also, maybe looking at adjusting that risk level for the losers to say, well, if my average win rate my average winner is only producing a 5% profit, then man, I can only be willing to take an average of 2.5% on a loss, take half of that, especially with where my win rate is as of now. I got to be looking to step up some side of that equation, whatever that looks like, in order to get the position after the equal sign to profitability. So obviously, if we can work on both of those, it's going to increase our expedition time is the word I'm looking for there in that sense. But so mentioning all those stats, that was still before I was, when I was still doing the real trading, still holding myself to that one trade a day with my real account, with the sub PDT margin account. But now, even as I'm looking at my paper stats now, after the 23rd, the end of the month of that trading, they still aren't great. I still have like a 25% win rate on all of those, and being able to track those through TradingView is still pretty awesome. And it's tough, again, like I'll mention, because it's I can't do pre-market with TradingView, and so sometimes I have to just like mentally take a paper trade, and that doesn't always be able to put the data in. Sometimes I have to add it later. Nitpicky stuff, but even through that, these like columns still subpar stats that I want to see what I'm doing with my paper trading right now. Holy confidence that I'm getting back, and holy experience and practice that I'm getting in, that I've not felt or gone through in an extremely long time. And I think that was really what I was striving to do from this change, when I started to realize, oh my gosh, it is just not working. It's not happening. I need to do something completely radically different. And I was able to get back, I forget if it was, it was been all these days, starting on that 24th, the 25th of November here. I think those were trading days. But on those trading days and those mornings, for some reason, whatever mentally why I do that it's okay, well, it's not real money. It's fake paper money. Why I was able to make such a change from that, whereas I was starting dancing, I was singing, I was just moving and grooving along in front of my computer screen that entire morning. And that's who I am. I need to be moving. I'm a very tactile learner, and I know that. And that's why I've always loved doing movement type of stuff, or even going to the gym, or just exercising, working out, just movement stuff in general, playing sports and athletic type of stuff. We're kind of applying that to this medium of stock trading and looking at a computer all day. It's tough for my brain to kind of connect that way, but gosh, opening myself up and completely detaching from what I thought was the need for myself to, I obviously need to be looking at the screens all day and just not moving whatsoever, and just focusing in harder and more. That is not me. And how much more freedom and empowerment that I felt when I'm just so loose and free. And okay, well, I think this trade's going to happen here. I'm going to try and take it short. Oh, wow. Spiked hard against me. That was definitely wrong there. But then how much more I've done this so many times in the daily recaps, already mentioning this type of stuff, but how much more exposure that I've gotten because of going through this paper trading route and not being attached to anything, and being so free to go in and out 3 times on a stock within 15 minutes, which I would nowhere near have done with the real account. Of course, wasting a day trade, or wasting 3 day trades on that, or wasting the cash in my cash account to try and take that size 3 times on a stock in and out within that, like a 15-minute period, just spitballing there. The experience and the knowledge gained from that, and being in 5 tickers at once that I would nowhere near have been in either. I would have tried to hold my still coming off of what I would have been doing for the real trading with real cash on the line of, oh, well, I got to put in my one trade. And if that one ended up being a loser, then it was just like, oh, okay, well, they got me again. I'm just, it's a tough day and I gotta learn from it. I'm going to review it. But I was missing so much because I was putting all the eggs in one basket to say, okay, this is my one trader for the day. If it doesn't work out, if they stop me out, if I pick the wrong spot by just 1 minute, 2 minutes, if I pick the wrong top, if I pick the wrong bottom, if it barely just takes me out and I get just so frazzled by the little price action there of, oh, well, I've taken 3 losses in a row this week already on the past 3 days. I don't want to take another one. And so I cut it short too early and limit myself so much. Oh my gosh. This new paper trading opportunity, this entire new mindset has just invigorated me back to starting what I felt I was starting from the beginning of this trading career, and exploring this bright, beautiful world of trading that I was so totally limiting myself to, and just forcing a dark and gloomy perception on that didn't have to be there. Whereas now it's, man, I took 7 losers today, but I learned a buttload. Like, I can relate that to yesterday or the day before. Like, I was 1 for 6, but I felt it was an awesome trading day because I nailed one trade setup that was an awesome, little dumper in the morning. Was that the 1st or whatever it was? Of the 1st of December of this month starting off, but it's things like that of filling the knowledge bank versus filling the actual P&L bank that way of, golly, it's what am I trying, coming back again to what am I trying to do today, right here, right now. I always have to have that, keep the perspective in of, I know where I'm trying to go. I know what I want to be in the 8-figure trader, your 8 figures in the bank and locked away, safe to go and live life and not have to. I'm doing all of this with the end goal of not having to do this, right? I go run so I don't have to go run anymore. I go swim so I don't have to go swim anymore. That's the perspective I keep in a lot of things. It's kind of sadistic a little bit, but that's the truth of it. We're establishing and putting in the work now, so sowing these seeds that able to reap upon them later on that timeline. But then coming off of that, starting with every day with that light, but then also coming to each and every single day too with the individual actions focused on what am I trying to accomplish today too? Because I know today, right here, right now, with pretty much 99.99% certainty, I'm not going to make $1 million today. It's just not going to happen. It's mathematically near impossible for that to happen. So with that understanding, I know that's why we're on a get eventually, but what are the steps that I can put in place right now through this trading that are going to get me to that point tomorrow? What's going to establish me up better for the end of this week? What's going to establish me better for the rest of this month here, rest of my entire trading career, on and on. So constantly going through that. And I think that's found a little bit through going over my rules every single morning and just having that little, whether it's a meditation moment, whether it's just a little tiny mental break to say, hey, where's your mental state at right now? Are you focused? Are you deviating from that plan of just kind of getting so aloof and to say, well, I'm not going to get that $1 million today, like I said earlier. So just what's the even point of trying to put in any more work today too? I know it's not going to happen today too, but getting away from that and saying, okay, well, what is the work that's being put in today in order to get us to the next step for that, $1 million, 8 figures type of action? It's a total mental game. And again, like I'm mentioning, just how my brain works and how learning happens in my brain. I feel I was totally suffocating that out just by doing holding myself to one trade a day, holding myself to, I can only have this. I've used up all my, I don't feel there's an awesome setup, or it's not AAA plus type of trade, so I'm just not going to take it, versus man, oh, okay, I think that's the top there. I'm going to short it. Wow, okay, I was wrong on that one. Or, oh man, I think that's the little bottom there. I'm going to find it. Ooh, okay, well, that worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to do. I'm going to write that down, start journaling that, add to the playbook. Examples like that, more and more and more of getting in the ring, in the arena, more and more to expose myself and to expand my horizons. And that's going to kind of lead into the monthly goal that I'm establishing for next month. Starting off with the month of November here, my monthly goal was be the sniper, and attributing that to, man, my entries and executions were just very subpar and poor, and I was kind of somewhat in the right trades, but just picking very, very poorly and forcing totally different trades to have to come out of those than really what was offered in those charts. So I was just trying to make more than what was there, or kind of on the right track of, okay, we're getting a little morning spiker here, but I was buying near the point of where everybody else was really already selling at that point, and vice versa for the short side of all that. So, forcing myself with a monthly goal of, hey, be the sniper. And I think I took that a little bit too much to heart with the just trades in general themselves of like, okay, well, do I really want to waste a bullet on this one? Do I want to waste a day trade? Do I want to waste that cash account? And I keep using that waste word, and that's just really what it become of like, oh, the value of these day trades. You only get 3 a week, and you only get one shot, and it has to wait till 5 days till it ever comes back. So you really got to make it count. And should I press that button and it start to go against me, even in the slightest, but still holding my risk level, but it's just like not looking the greatest, and it's just oh my gosh, what a tizzy that would throw me into that way. So I want to say that yes, to a little bit of an extent, the be the sniper did push me on the entry and execution side to say, okay, are you like scaling in? Or I use the excuse of, a starter position, which is a good strategy to a higher end trader of getting a starter position on a stock just so they can get the feel of it, get more involved in the level 2 and the time and sales. But for me, I use that definitely as a crutch of a kind of FOMO relaxant that, I think the move's going to happen from here. I'm going to take a 10 share position, take a $50 position size. And, when it would go against me, when it wouldn't end up actually working out, and be forced to cut and take like a $5, $6 loss. And in the grand scheme of things, that wasn't killing at all. It's not knee crippling, but it wasn't helping either. And I certainly wasn't willing to pay that much. I didn't really factor in risk on those types of little trades. I didn't keep in mind, in reality too, it didn't really force me to pay attention to those harder. Like we've kind of learning that these starter positions are the reasons why they do that for the bigger trader guys, why they get those starter field positions. I wasn't really doing that either. So it was just becoming this constant death by 1,000 paper cuts that I convinced myself like, oh, okay, well, it was a small loss. It was a small size in general to start with, so it wasn't really hurting anybody. But in reality, it was killing me a lot more, just actual P&L wise and mentally too, because, okay, well, shoot, that's another loss. There was another area that I'm wrong. And just adding to that little stockpile that, okay, well, I used the cash for that one, so now I got to wait. Oh, well, I don't want to actually take, even if another trade would develop on that same chart that I was taking, thinking I was taking a little starter position, I wouldn't be able to touch it because I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm like revenge trading because I already took a loss on it. But yeah, just a weight. I feel such lifted off of my shoulders for right now where I'm at of cutting away the real account and going back to this paper simulator aspect of it that I need to look at it completely differently because the track I was going down from the start, more of the middle of this month of November was just completely wrong. I was looking at the wrong charts in a sense. I was holding a incorrect perspective on what the market was in general and who I was as a trader, and something definitely needed to change. So excited to step into this new month of December with the goal of expanding my horizons. And I look at that as more of, because I know I'll certainly be taking on more of the role of this paper trading. And if I do go on the long side, sometimes it will be like a 3 share max of $20 position size on the long side on some of these. If I just want to keep the charts up on my Thinkorswim, but that's besides the point. But expanding my horizons to say, hey, there's a potential trade here that I feel like I've seen some traders do at some point. I think I'm identifying some of the same ideas there. I think I'm seeing this. Try it, do it, test it, practice, experiment with it. Oh, okay, wow, I was definitely wrong on that. Was I actually seeing that correctly? Reviewing it back now, I'm going through the motions of experimentation and just testing of who I am as a trader, and wow, what I was seeing there was really correct. Now it's not even a debate anymore to when after I was done with my one trade, took my loss on the day, that I was still looking at charts and looking at the other movers and saying, oh, well, I think it could go here on that one. And then pulling it up at the end of the day and, oh, well, it did kind of move pretty nicely there. There's no more guessing games or just estimations of like, oh, well, I kind of thought it was going to do this one, but I didn't take a trade because I was already down on my one trade today. But there is the opportunity now to say, there's no excuse anymore to say you thought it was going to do that. Why didn't you take a position size? That's been totally eliminated in all of these. So I think it's totally expanding me more. I'm stepping into more realms even now too of like I would never look at like 6 charts at the same time, but now I'm totally in that mindset now I'm totally in that realm of, golly, I'm looking at a lot of charts right now and it's engaging me more because of having to dissect the chart itself far quicker than how I would be if I was, okay, well, I got to put all my attention in this one trade and one chart because I don't have the greatest understanding at this point of where turns are or what I'm actually seeing. So I'm going to put all my focus and attention on this one level 2 and this time in sales here for this chart, and then end up trying pie in the sky ideas of what I think I was seeing or just kind of sketching myself out on a lot of them. This little experimentation move of, okay, let's look at 6 at the same time just for funs of like, oh, okay, this one's moving here, this one's moving here. Okay, well, catching up on all of them. They may be moving at the same time. They may be not. They may be offering some little opportunities here at different points but God, it's just, I'm excited for it. And I'm certainly expanding my horizons in that way too, of just what I am as a trader, who I am as a trader, what I'm looking for, how I go about preparation, whether pre-market or the night before, or just even in the trade itself, of expanding my knowledge and tool base as a trader in that way too. What I'm trading in itself, of the charts I'm seeing, and being open and ready to be able to adapt to everything that's happening. Certainly a skill that I want to keep developing as well too, that I just was so limited to and would not would not diverge from in the starting of this month, in the middle of the month of November. I even wrote here, this new opportunity for the paper aspect is completely detached me from that aspect of money. It's the easiest way to do that. It's all fake. It's all not real. And in that sense too, I always have to remind myself, even the real money aspect too, it's paper money. It's a funny way that they mention it because it is all paper. It's just, money is so fake. We're learning that even more and more too. And now we're at in society with this crazy inflation, just everything going on there. But even more so through this paper side, just the freedom to be dancing, to be freely and openly seeing everything that's happening and taking it in, and not being so chained and bound by the fear of whether that's FOMO or just the fear of losing or wasting a day trade, or, oh, I'm taking another loss, or, oh, what are people going to think of me if I take another loss here? I put another big lost bread number on my monthly recap. Who the F cares, right? This is just a exciting new experience to step into the realm, new realm for me as a trader. And that is really all that I had. Excited to keep going forward. Excited for end of this year to see if where the market brings us, if any more volatility. As Bryce Toohey mentioned too, and I think I saw yesterday in that dollar volume, kind of seeing a lot more dollar volume as of right now for the start of the month of December, kind of the end of November here, that a lot of more money in the NYSE area, the big mega cap arena, and just not that much opportunity to say in the small cap there. There's always opportunity, but it's not just blow your socks off. Every 5 minutes there's a new one coming at you like a bus terminal. That's not there, to say the least, but there is always opportunity. So continuing to grow and evolve and adapt to what the market is thrown at us, and golly, learning every single day. Grateful, extremely, extremely grateful for every single day. I feel like I always mention this in every monthly recap, but man, if you could have told me as a kid my job would be to not wear pants and sit in front of a computer all day, I would have said, I love not wearing pants. So that's where I'm at today. I'm living the dream. That is really all I got to say. So I sincerely thank you guys for watching this monthly recap. I hope future me watching this in the back, just learning from this to say, understand when change needs to happen and constantly lose that attachment to what you think you are, because the only way to advance, the people at the top, saw a great quote from that today too, is the only way they do advance is because they're obsessed with the improvement aspect of it, because they understand that they're not at the top yet. Once you think that you are the best, that you've made it, that there is no improvement, then you'll stop improving. That's just the basis point of it. So in everything, with everything in life, always maintain that perspective. Talking to me of take that little knock on the chin, or just take that little chip on the shoulder to say there is always room for improvement. You are not at the greatest point, and yet you never will be. You never will be perfect. And don't try to hold yourself accountable to this fake and artificial idea of perfection that's somehow attainable, because it's not, and it never will be. So I thank you guys for watching. Again, I thank you, Future Brent, for watching this one and where you're at now. High-fiving you through the camera. High five. We will catch you guys on the next one.